Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about my final project of GEOG100. And my theme is culture. Culture include many things like beliefs, language, food, architecture, history, dressing, and religion. And in my life, I have lived in 3 different cities, and these places are the 3 that I have showed on my map. I was born in Wenzhou, China, where I stayed until I was 13. At this point, my family and I moved to Hangzhou. And finally, just 3 years ago, I moved to Vancouver. And Wenzhou to Hangzhou absolute distance is shown on the map, and also Hangzhou to Vancouver's absolute distance, and the absolute location of Wenzhou, Hangzhou, and Vancouver. Wenzhou and Hangzhou are close together on map, but their culture are slightly different, even though they are very similar. But these places were both very different from the culture that I have experienced once I moved to Vancouver. From this experience, I learned that different places have different cultural treaties and systems. These include different custom, religion, and way of experiencing yourself. And next, I'm going to talk about Wenzhou first. Wenzhou is an industrial city, but on the countryside, people grow their vegetables by themselves, and the language in Wenzhou is Mandarin, but also dialect. And the religion is Chinese folk religion, but also Buddhism and Christianity. The population in Wenzhou is 3.039 million, and 97% are Han people, and 3% are minority groups. And the architecture in Wenzhou is sloping roof. This all shows in southern China. And the food we eat is seafood, vegetables, and light food. And during our free time, we like to watch opera. And here are some pictures of Wenzhou. This is the architecture of Wenzhou's building. And there are some temples and churches in Wenzhou. And this is the food we usually eat in Wenzhou. And this is the opera that my grandparents like to watch. And let's move to Hangzhou. Hangzhou is a tourist city and a famous place that people always go and visit is West Lake. And the population in Hangzhou is 9.188 million. And the religion is also Chinese folk religion. And the language they speak is Mandarin and also dialect. But the food in Hangzhou is a little bit sweet, non-spicy. And this is a picture of West Lake. And here are some architecture of Hangzhou, also in southern China. And this is a food that we eat in Hangzhou. And once I moved to Hangzhou, I was a bit older. I was there for my teenage year, so most of my memory are about school. I remember the friends that I had there and what we would do together after school. From this city, I remember a bit more about how the city looked, not just my family home. I learned more about the cultural influence there, which were a little different from what was in my household. But because it was so similar, it was easy enough to act properly when I went to visit my friends and went to their home. And finally, let's talk about Vancouver. Vancouver is a multicultural city due to internationalization, and the population in Vancouver is 331,000 people. Language they speak in is English and French. The religion is Christianity, and the architecture, most buildings are built with wood, and people always dress casually when they go out. And the food, such as poutine, burger, and we can eat almost every kind of food in Vancouver, and people like to watch hockey during their free time. And the Canadian contact law protect regional and national cultures from the impact of globalization. Moving to Vancouver, I learned a lot more about Canadian culture, which is very different from my earlier experience. But because I'm older now, it was easier for me to adapt to a new culture and learn how to fit in. I have only lived here for 3 years, so I can remember my time here very clearly. This move has had the biggest impact on my life because I had to learn a new language and make friends in a whole new kind of environment. I learned many new things when I moved here, and these things will affect me for the rest of my life. No matter where I move to next, I will always remember the first time I left China and what this experience have been like. I will go forward with a new language and new experience, but also knowing that I can go through such a big change and still be successful. And here are some pictures of Vancouver. This is the building in Vancouver, and most of the houses are built with wood. And this is food pudding, and this is a hockey team. I have impacted the world by traveling the different city and country. In each place, I made new friends, so I had an influence on many people in my life. I also contribute to the culture of each place because of the age I was in each place. I grew up through different phases of my life in each new city. The impression I made on the people there rely on my age and my experience at that point. When I moved to Vancouver, I was older, so I think I can understand the culture a little bit more without judging it. Just like I impact each place I move to, this place also impact me. As I was a child, when I lived there, my memory of Wenzhou are not that clear. Most of them seem like typical childhood experience, but I can still remember what our family house looked like. The cultural expectation of the place shaped my earliest memory. and I need to adapt different cultures to the different countries. And in conclusion, from my experience, I noticed that geographical borders have a major influence on the lives and culture of individuals. I'm lucky enough to have experienced two very different kinds of culture. From this experience, I would expect that other countries will also have very different cultural systems from what I have already experienced. Each new country will give different cultural system from what I have already experienced. And each new country will give different learning experience, what will give more information about how the world is different in different places. This idea made me want to visit more places around the world so that I can have this experience. Moving to Vancouver was such a positive experience for me. I learned a lot about a new culture and how I can adapt to new kinds of situation. With these facts in mind, I know that I could have even more learning experience about how different people experience the world. At the same time, I know that I have also had an impact on the people and places I have visited, and I think it is exciting to be a part of country's story. And here's my reference of this presentation. And thanks for watching.